Hey guys, a package just arrived. I'm gonna do an unboxing with you. We'll check out the plants. These are imported plants from Indonesia. They're from Aroid Asia. So I'm interested to see how they made it through the mail because they were stuck in customs over the weekend. So you never know with imports also like how the plants are gonna make it. They do have to travel at least a week usually in the mail. So this did take about a solid week. And I've got my first aid kit here ready to go for any little babies that need some help in here. Hold on here, we gotta pause this video. Hey guys, it's me from the future. I was just checking out the Aroid Asia website and they're having their end of the year sale right now as we speak. So I'm trying to get this video up as fast as possible. So if you guys do wanna order, now is a really good time. They have killer prices and their prices are already good to begin with. But now with their sale going on, it's like 25% off. And then they have a code also you can use on top of their sale price. So I'll have the details of all of that linked below as well as their website. Definitely check them out. And the plant you're looking at right now is one of my favorites that came in. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I love it. Okay, back to the video. So Aroid Asia sent this package of plants to me. They let me pick out some and then they picked out the rest. So some of them I know what's in here, I think. I actually love watching people do unboxings because it really helps me decide who I'm gonna order from. And I like to watch multiple unboxings or reviews of a company before I order, just to get a feel for what to expect. All right, so there's a look at how Aroid Asia has their package packed. They have it insulated with this extra foam all the way around the box. Like it's all the way around the outer edge and everything too. And it's in the bottom too. Yep, so the plants are completely sealed with the extra foam for insulation and they have the packing fluff, the polyfill. I love this stuff for packing the plants. So we've got polyfill tucked in here. It's underneath the plants too, yes. So they're wrapped in paper and it looks like tissue around the roots here. So let's go ahead and start opening these up and see if they made it. Okay, so the first plant that we're gonna open up is Philodendron Melanochrysum. Okay, let's see how this Melanochrysum did. Oh, hey. Well, that's pretty darn good, I would say. I'm amazed that that turned out so well. That's it because, I mean, geez, it is wintertime, so I didn't have like high hopes. So we've got tissue wrapped in plastic. So hopefully you guys are able to see. So those roots actually look pretty good. They're white, they look healthy. Maybe some of the smaller ones might have dried up, but the bigger ones look good still. Okay, I'm gonna set this in a jar. I've got my rainwater. Oh wow, all the leaves turned out beautiful. What the heck? I can't even believe that these things are making it because it's cold here right now. Wow, that looks really, really good. Let's see what the roots are doing. Let's cut this open. So we've got a couple nodes to work with. When I put this in water, I'm actually gonna bring it up past the second node so that I can get in the water too. But yeah, that is definitely a glorious and it is absolutely beautiful. We do have some roots to work with here, some nice healthy white roots. For now, I'm just gonna drop it into water and let that start to rehydrate. I'm just gonna set these jars back here for a minute. All right, the next one we have here is Philodendron Splendid. Oh my goodness. This thing. Oh my gosh. These leaves are absolutely stunning. So it did have a leaf that was going to be coming out right here. There's the caterpillar. I can see the tip of that brand new leaf that was still furled up. I can see that one dried. That's okay because they will put out a new, like they'll use that caterpillar and they'll put out a new leaf. So I'm not worried about that. I do have two Splendids already. Actually, I forgot there's a little one right behind me here, like a little baby. So I have two Splendids already. And this was a plant that I requested from them because I love them so much. And one thing I noticed is how highly variable this plant is. This one has more color on the back of its leaves compared to the other one that I have. And then this one behind me is totally different. Like they're all so different from each other. They're just absolutely gorgeous hybrids. So this is a hybrid between Melanochrysum and Verrucosum. So it's got some of the coloration, like the Verrucosum, like a little bit of color on the back of the leaves. And then the front is just like ultra velvety, but oh my gosh, that one is a gorgeous plant. I can't believe how well it turned out. And it's actually pretty normal for the brand new leaf to suffer in shipping. Like a lot of times they will brown out and just dry up and die off. And then that caterpillar puts out a brand new leaf. I can't even believe how well this is. I mean, I don't want to speak too soon because there could be a dead plant in this box. You never know. But I mean, so far, like, I'm just so grateful for what has arrived in good shape right now. So the bigger roots normally can make it easier. It's the little fine roots, those little hair-like roots that end up dying off normally because they just have a real tough time going through the treatment process. It's not just the shipping process. They actually have to take like a little brush and clean all of that soil off of the roots, and then they put it in a dipping treatment, like a little treatment to kill any, I don't know, pests or anything off the roots. So if you ever wonder why your plant roots from imports come in looking like they're all, you know, like dying off and rotting off and stuff. That is why, because that treatment process is really hard on those poor little roots. And when it comes to pests, it's always a good idea to check out the leaves and everything, and just check the stems, the petioles, and just make sure everything looks good. Check for scale or anything that looks weird. I've actually never had any problems with any of my import plants as far as pests go, or scale or anything like that. The process that they go through and the checks and the phytosanitary, it's pretty rigorous, but you never know. So it's a good idea, you know, if you're introducing new plants into your collection, to just kind of double check so you can kind of see what's going on with them. But yeah, these all look really, really good. Okay, this one is Philodendron Brandtianum, which is really cute. I actually have a brandy over here. It has outgrown its moss pole. The brandy took me a while to figure that out. Yes, it took me a while. Now mine is doing really good. The leaves are looking awesome, except for the last one that just outgrew the moss pole. I think now it's on to me. It's like, hey, I outgrew this moss pole. Now I'm gonna like revert back to juvenile size because it knows. It can tell that it's not climbing up anything anymore, so I'm gonna have to change that out. Let's see. Oops, this one, I don't know if this one made it, you guys. I think this one might be one that froze. See that? So, yep, I think this might be the first one that did not make it. The stem kind of looks like it might have been frozen. Yeah, that upper part of the stem, or not frozen, but you know, cold damage, frostbitten, whatever you want to call it. Let's see, will you guys be able to see that? See how the stem is like floppy there? So, well, we're gonna see what the roots are doing. The risk-benefit analysis, the risk definitely goes up higher during the colder months, right? But, you know, I mean, if you're like hard up for some plants and some go on sale or whatever, because I know there's lots of sales during this time of year, which I partook in myself. Sometimes you just can't pass up a sale, you know what I mean? Okay, so what do we have here? Do we have soft tissue? We got some leaves in it. I mean, leave it to this one to struggle, right? The brandy. I swear these things, they're so sensitive. They're just such sensitive little babies. You never know, like, I mean, you might be able to get some wet sticks out of that maybe. I don't know if that stem's gonna make it or not, but we'll give it our best shot. This was actually one that they picked out to send. Give that a little water, see if it can survive. Some plants travel better than others, and some can handle different temperatures better than others, right? Like some are a little bit more tolerant to short periods of cold, and some just are like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, this one is Alocasia Black Velvet. Ooh, this one, it's got a leaf that is not too happy. A couple leaves that aren't too happy, but it's got one that looks like it made it through. So the black velvet is now a yellow velvet. So the poor little thing. Oh man. So everything looks good on the corm, and it's got some nice white roots there. So as long as that part is good, we might be okay with that. Yeah, the yellowing leaves aren't really an issue at all. It's just a matter of if the actual body of the plant can make it. Actually, I'm gonna add a little bit more water because I want that corm to be covered, because I see where it kind of wants to put out some more roots. So I'm gonna go right up to that point on the corm. Okay, this next one is another one that they picked out to send. This is Syngonium Allusion Mini. Oh, it is cute. It's a tiny little leafed Syngonium. It's got like splashes of green and a little bit of pink in there too. All right, so there we go. We've got some little white roots there. Those look good. Okay, we'll put this one in a little cup. This next one is, oh, I forgot about this one, Anthurium Dorayaki hybrid. Oh, I hope this one made it. This one, I love these doryakis. Oh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it is absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I love baby anthuriums. They are so cute. So this little baby is definitely floppy and dehydrated, you can tell. So I'm gonna get it into water right away here. All right, so there we go. There's the leaves, floppy, but we've got some good roots there. Get some more rainwater in here. I'm gonna add some fluff around this one too. So there we go. We've got the fluff all the way around it just to help protect those petioles from the edge of the cup, because I don't want to get those all marked up. So that one is just going to hang out right there. Okay, so I'm going to leave these to rehydrate. I guess I should turn this back on so they can get some light. Some nice gentle light. Nothing too strong after they've been in a box, but they do want light right away, so don't deprive them of light when they come in. So everyone's just gonna hang out here on the desk and on the shelf here by the grow light, and I will check back in with you guys either in a couple hours or tomorrow morning. All right guys, it's the next day. It's time to take a look at the roots, see if we need to trim any, which I'm sure we will, and sort of just get them settled into something. I don't know if we're gonna be potting these up today. Well, this one I think we will. We'll pot up the Anthurium because that one's probably ready. All right, so let's take a look at how the roots are doing. I know with the Anthuriums, I don't find it's necessary to soak them as long as some of the other plants because these really take up the water very quickly and they can end up with waterlogged roots also fairly quickly if you let them sit in the water for too long. There's a couple that have breaks in here, which is kind of just part of the process with Anthuriums. That one's got a break too. Yeah, the Anthurium roots, they're just so prone to breaking during shipping. Because their roots are just not very flexible. But oh, I should mention it plumped up really nicely though. Like the leaves, you can see they're not floppy at all. They're super plumped up. So ready to get that one potted up. I've got my Anthurium mix here already mixed up. So this is a base of coconut husk. So it's the cocoa chips, the chips and fiber. So it's pretty chunky, not like overly chunky, you know, it still holds moisture. And then I've got New Zealand sphagnum moss mixed in there. And then for aeration, I've got a mix of pumice and perlite. I also like to use extra sphagnum moss on the bottom of my pot and on the top, around the base of the crown of the Anthurium. So I'm gonna take a little bit for the bottom of the pot. And also because I am using the orchid style pot, so there's like 3 holes around there, I just kind of pack that moss over those holes. And then I kind of fill in, like in the center, and I just sort of open up those Anthurium roots and nest them down in there. I'm gonna add a little more moisture to that sphagnum moss before I top it off. And then I just kind of pack that lightly around the roots, or around the crown, I should say. Like as they're growing, they're always trying to pop out new little aerial roots, so I always try to pack the top with some sphagnum moss just to keep those little new aerial root nubs from drying out. Oh my goodness, if you guys could see this in the sun, I'll try to capture some B-roll sometime with this, but man, those veins are so sparkly. Is that why I'm so into Anthurium? Because they remind me of gemstones? Like the veins on there are like unbelievably crystallized. Wow, that's insane. Oh my God, okay. All right, this baby is, I'm not gonna water it right now. The soil is slightly damp right now and it's already been soaking, so I don't want to give it any more water right now because it's already like full on hydrated. So I probably won't water it until like, I don't know, tomorrow or the next day. I'll just give it a little bit of water in there. All right, let's check out the Melanochrysum. So we've got multiple nodes rooting here. So we've got roots coming out there, even up higher here, there's little aerial roots poking out everywhere. Down here, the roots actually, they look pretty good. Most of them are white. Those little fine roots, those dried off and desiccated just from dehydration, probably just from the shipping and treatment process on the roots. There's a couple roots with dark tips. I might just trim those, but the rest of it looks pretty good. It all looks pretty viable still. So I'm actually really pleasantly surprised with that Melanochrysum. Okay, I'm just gonna sterilize those. So yeah, just the ends. I'm just gonna give it a trim. So yeah, the rest of these look pretty good. At first I was gonna put this in perlite and root it out more if I needed to trim off more, but I think I just might put it into soil right now. All right, I've got my philodendron mix. I just had to go mix up some more of that. It's a base of cocoa chips and cocoa peat, also horticultural charcoal and perlite. Okay, I'll take some sphagnum moss and use that on the bottom of the pot. Okay, my coconut totem is about 2 feet tall. I think that's a good size to start with here. I've got a couple pieces of garden tape I'm going to use to secure this to the coconut husk. I am going to add some sphagnum moss, just covering those roots at that lower node there, just above the soil line. All right, the Melanochrysum's all done. I'm going to move this one probably over by my desk. I think we're gonna do this one next, yeah. And actually I'm gonna remove that leaf too, the yellow velvet, the black velvet. Yeah, the roots look awesome on that. Look how nice and white those are. Fresh, plump, healthy, well hydrated now. And the corm, yeah, that's nice and firm all the way through to the tip here. So yeah, and I can see a little bit of green even there. So everything looks good with that. Yeah, I'm just gonna take that leaf off because that one, normally I don't like rush to pull leaves off, but that one just doesn't look great, so I'm tossing that. That one's still pretty green there, so I don't want to take that away from the plant if it's still like pulling moisture out from that leaf, so I am going to leave that one because that one doesn't look too bad right now. And then I can always remove that later on. So I've noticed that these Alocasia black velvet, they're very prone to having their corms rot. So I want to take that into consideration. I'm gonna add a little more perlite and cocoa chips to this mix and just make it a little more chunky, just so it stays nice and light and airy for it. Because I noticed that these also are very prone to getting edema. That corm is sort of on its side, so I'm actually gonna pot it a little bit more straight up. So the leaves are gonna temporarily look a little crooked, but that's okay. Because then when it puts out the new leaves, it'll end up nice and straight. The yellow and black velvet is all done, so I'm gonna go set this over on one of my shelves. All right guys, it's actually the next day. I just took the Splendid out of its jar of water. I'm checking out the roots. I think most of the roots look okay. There's just some of those really fine hair-like roots that I'll just pluck off. I think what I'm going to do with this is put it directly into soil. I think I'm going to skip putting it into moss or perlite. So I'm going to pot this directly into my climbing philodendron mix. I mean, yeah, sometimes I will root it out more in sphagnum moss or perlite in a clear container and just watch the roots and then pot it up when it's got a stronger root system. But this mix is so light and fluffy that I'm just going to try it direct in this soilless mix here. Okay, I'll top it off with some sphagnum moss. I'm going to tuck it right around that second node that's just above the soil. I couldn't quite get that down in the soil. So we're going to kind of pretend like we're air layering that with some extra moss on top here. The leaves hydrated really quickly with this one too. They're all plumped up, really nice. Now the Glorious, let's see if we need to do anything with these roots. These roots all look pretty good. There's just 2 in the back here that I'm going to snip off. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in a smaller pot like this one. And I know it's just a bitty thing, but I'm gonna start it off with a moss pool anyway. Oh, hey, I didn't even notice that one's actually got a new leaf in the caterpillar there. Okay, I'm gonna pot this 2 nodes deep. So it's got the first node where the roots are coming out already, and then it's got a second node up here that I wanna try to catch in the soil because I want that to root out too and get a stronger root system. I'm so happy with Aroid Asia. Like, it's winter time. They got these plants to me safely. I'm pretty amazed at that. They spent a week in the mail traveling around the world and they still turned out. good. Like the Splendid and the Glorious are just absolutely beautiful. They came in perfect. So there's the caterpillar right there. It's got a new leaf in there. It looks good still. It looks green and healthy and viable. So hopefully that will continue on its mission. Okay, now for the Brandtianum and the Syngonium mini Allusion. I'm gonna pot up the mini Allusion, I think, in this white pot. And this one, it looks like it's fine. It's just gonna be losing these two yellow leaves. If they easily peel away, yeah, okay, I'll just pluck those off at the base. So those roots still look like they're all viable and the stem looks good, no soft spots. So I'll just go ahead and get this potted up into this little container. And I'm just using the same mix for all of the plants today. So if this little Syngonium mini is anything like my other Syngoniums, it's probably gonna be thirsty, so I don't mind having it in a plastic pot. All right, and I think I'm gonna put that in this pot, which, yeah, that's got a plug in it, so I'm just using this one as a decorative pot, this little ceramic pot. I get these at Walmart, or I got these at Walmart. They were on sale for like $2 back in the fall. I'm gonna go find a place for this and then I'll be back and we'll figure out what to do with the Brandtianum here. Let me just kind of take a look at what might be going on here with the stem. The stem is definitely discolored, but I gotta see what is down in here and just see if there's any sign of life in there, or if it looks like it's rotted at the core. No, this one is gonna be a loss, you guys. I don't think there's, yeah, not even as a wet stick. I don't think there's anything I can do with that node. All right, guys, so that one is actually gonna be a loss. I cut it down as far as I could to get to the most healthy looking part of the stem, even though it is still not healthy. I can see down inside in the core, it still is dark and it does not have healthy plant tissue inside there. So I do not think that that is going to be viable at all. All right, my planty friends, we're back in the plant room and it's been exactly 2 weeks since the Aroid Asia plants came in. So I figured it'd be a good time to do some updates and let you know how the plants are doing, or, you know, if anyone passed away or if there's any cold damage that continued on or anything like that. All right, so I've got my Anthurium Dorayaki here. This is the one that came in from Aroid Asia that was really floppy and it has perked up nicely. Like these leaves are absolutely beautiful. And then it did have some dried tips that it came in with, just from, you know, dehydration. So yeah, a couple of dried tips there from dehydration from when it was traveling, I guess. And then one old leaf there. The oldest, smallest leaf is yellowing off there, but no big deal. The bigger leaves look gorgeous. The bigger, newer leaves. I just love the shape of these leaves too. They're so round and plump and they're just a really cute, you know, Anthurium hybrid. I just love those. And they're so sparkly and glittery in the sun. Oh, and I have the doryakis on the second shelf. So that is my grow light up there at the ceiling. I did try to have them on the top shelf, but it was a little bit too bright for them. So I moved them down to the next shelf because I noticed that there was a little bit of bleaching on my little baby doryaki. This one here, just on a couple of leaves. And so I was like, oh, light was too bright. So I just dropped it down to the next shelf and they seem to be doing well there. Okay, now the Melanochrysum, you guys, I'm so glad that I gave this plant another chance. I was kind of afraid of it after my first experience. I had a baby one come in from Indonesia, like back in the spring, and it kind of had a freak out. It was my fault. I put a drop of fertilizer in its water and it did not like it at all. So I messed it up straight away and had to reroot it basically from a wet stick. But anyway, yeah, I still have it, by the way. It's still alive. It's up on my shelf over here, but it's just like, in fact, it's got a new leaf that it's trying to put out right now. Let's hope it can pull that off without ripping its new leaf. But I'm really glad to have another one to try with because it's such a gorgeous plant, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, these dark velvety leaves are just something else. They just bring me so much joy to look at. But as soon as I potted this up, I was nervous if I was gonna have a freak out or anything after my last experience. But no, this one, it perked up like immediately, like 2 days after potting it up, it immediately started taking to the new soil. Its stem perked up and started like kind of repositioning itself straight up along with the pole. And this new leaf was still hardening off when it came in, so that one was pretty soft and it did get some cold damage along that outer edge there. Totally not a big deal though. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. And it's just perked up like so nicely. I'm really grateful that it took to the soil and everything. I always like to check that after I repot plants or, you know, get a new import. Oh yeah, that one is nice and nice and sturdy in there now. It's really taken to that soil nicely. And it's working on a new leaf. It's got the caterpillar there. I'll definitely make sure I keep that caterpillar misted as it's making its new leaf there when it starts to get ready to come out, just to try to help it along. But yeah, oh, those leaves, so velvety and beautiful. I love it. But yeah, I'll try to keep this plant happy. It seems like it's doing good so far, and I will try to be very consistent with the watering since it seems like they love water so much. I just realized I have to water that micans. Oh my gosh, that poor thing. Its leaves are all curled. This one at the top, holy heck. I gotta help that thing out. Okay, right after this video. So I've got the Splendid on the left on my desk right here, and then the Glorious on the right there. Oh my gosh, this Splendid, that thing is just a knockout. It does have a little bit of cold damage on the very tip there. So when the Splendid came in, I think I showed you guys that it did have a new leaf that was furled up and it browned out, and we already saw that it was like already dried up. And so that ended up kind of flaking off, and it's got a brand new leaf coming. Look at that. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see the new leaf. I mean, these Splendids are just something else. They're so resilient and gorgeous, and the leaf veining on there. Aroid Asia knocked it out of the park with that Splendid. That thing is beautiful, and the leaf size is very generous on those. And then here's the Glorious, which is a cross between Melanochrysum and Gloriosum. This is absolutely beautiful also. So when this plant came in, this leaf was still hardening off. It was very, very soft actually. So it has a little bit of damage, I think, just from the packing and whatnot. But yeah, so far so good with this one. If I pull this out a little bit, you can see it a little better. So it's got 4 little leaves, and look at that, a new leaf coming, new caterpillar. So it's working on its new leaf. I can't wait to see that one come out. And that's another plant that both of these actually took to the new soil really nicely too. Like they're both super sturdy in there. Here's another one that I just had on my shelf sitting here. So this is the Syngonium mini Allusion. Let's give it a jiggle at the stem and just see how it. Oh yeah, that one's grabbed onto the soil nicely too. I always like to jiggle the plant. What happened to my nail? Oh man, I dinged it up already. I just plucked off one dried leaf there, but otherwise everything looks good. It's taken to the soil nicely. So there's the black velvet with its one leaf, and that leaf is starting to straighten out because when I potted it up, I potted it with the corm more straight up and down, and the leaf was like really awkward, like leaning awkwardly. But now that leaf is starting to straighten out, and it looks good still. It has not yellowed or died off or anything yet. And oh yeah, it seems like it's, oh yeah, that one has grabbed onto the soil nicely too. Also, I'm rehabbing some other plants over here that just recently came in. It was very cold when they came in, so there's definitely some cold damage happening here. And hopefully they will be able to recover. Yeah, these are El Chaco Reds and Bessie Finis down there. And I showed you guys already that the Philodendron Brandtianum that came in unfortunately did not make it. It could not handle that cold damage, so there's not going to be a recovery for that one. But I figured that I'd go ahead and show you my brandy that I have already. So this is her, and she is surpassed the top of the moss pole now, and she is trying to reach up to the fan. If I didn't use the fan, I have a feeling it would try to get up there and climb on it. But I use the fan and it's awfully windy. It's about a foot away for it, so I'm gonna have to, I'm not gonna propagate it, so I think what I'm gonna do is just swap out that shorter moss pole and just make it a new longer one, or new taller one for it. But yeah, that is the brandy, and the secret to that I've experienced is water. It is another water lover, and it's obsessed with consistency. If I'm consistent with its watering and I never let it go dry, it grows like crazy. It's a very hard-working plant, let me just say that. It's constantly trying to put out leaves in every which way, all over the stem, and if it doesn't get enough water, it still is trying to put out leaves, and they just end up deformed and small and, you know, all kind of funky looking. I think that's the trick with these brandies, is they're just such vigorous growers, and they want to grow so bad, they like exhaust themselves and their water supply constantly, because they don't want to stop. They just want to keep on going. They're trying to like take over. Yeah, water, more water for the brandies. That's what they love. And it will reward you with nice leaves rather than the little shriveled leaves. It took me a while to figure that out, by the way. Down here, you can see it's like it's like tree rings. You can look at my plant and see when I was struggling trying to figure the thing out, like down here. Yeah, right about right there, I was going, what is wrong with this thing? Why does it hate me? I'm trying to help it, and the leaves are all kind of like, you know, curled, kind of wrinkled, sort of deformed and really tiny. That's when I didn't realize that it was water. That was the thing that it needed. And once I started watering it a lot, the leaves got bigger and bigger and better, and yeah, it just, it wants water all the time. It's amazing how responsive this plant is though. Like, it will let you know straight away if it's not pleased about something, which is kind of fun at the same time. Like, I sort of love figuring out hard to deal with plants. And I like to experiment with them. I like to play with plants and try to figure them out. Let's see, is there anything else? I think we covered everything. I think that was everything, you guys. Oh, I better turn this grow light back on because my plant babies are gonna freak out over here and wonder what happened to their light. All right, guys, I think that's everything for the updates on the Aroid Asia plants. Definitely check out Aroid Asia's website. Like, I will definitely be ordering from them. I really like the quality of their plants, and they do have other sales throughout the year too. So if you missed this one, if you don't see this video in time for it, that's okay. Definitely check them out. Their prices are awesome anyway. Like, their regular prices are already excellent. But yeah, I will for sure be ordering from them. I do have some plants that I was already looking at, like their Anthurium Silver Blush. I'm thinking about. I really want to add that to my collection. And don't forget, on top of the sale, they do have a coupon code that you can use in addition to that too for a free plant. So I'll have everything listed in the details in the description box below. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.